What would you do if your job demanded you sacrifice everything you love? One single dad's calm reply to a billionaire would shock her forever. Ethan Rivers had spent 6 months quietly doing his job in the IT department at Sterling Enterprises, a mid-level position enough to support his young son, Noah, and maintain their modest apartment. It was routine troubleshooting network issues, handling tickets faster than the department average, always maintaining quality. Life was busy but manageable until the day security escorted him to the 47th floor. Inside the glass-walled conference room, 3 executives stared at him. Their faces were a mix of curiosity and discomfort. At the head of the table stood Alexis Sterling, 32-year-old billionaire CEO who had built the company from a small tech startup into a global powerhouse in just 8 years. "Mr. Rivers," Alexis began, her voice calm and professional, "thank you for coming on such short notice." Ethan nodded. "Of course, Miss Sterling. How can I help you?" Alexis slowly circled the table, her heels clicking on the polished floor. "It has come to our attention that there have been some concerns about your performance." Ethan's stomach dropped. "I wasn't aware of any issues. My supervisor hasn't mentioned anything." "Your supervisor isn't aware of everything that happens in this company," Alexis replied. "I am." She stopped across from him. "We've been monitoring productivity across all departments, and your metrics have been concerning." Ethan spoke calmly, but the heat in his face betrayed him. "With all due respect, Miss Sterling, my work has consistently been rated excellent. I resolve tickets faster than average, and I've had no complaints from users." Alexis's eyes narrowed. "Speed and quality aren't the only metrics. You leave promptly at 5 o'clock every day. You never work weekends. You decline to participate in the voluntary evening training program. This company values commitment, Mr. Rivers' dedication, willingness to go above and beyond." "I'm a single parent, Miss Sterling," Ethan explained. "I pick up my 6-year-old son from after school at 5:30 every day. I spend weekends with him. The evening program runs until 8 o'clock. It would mean missing time with Noah." "Everyone has obligations, Mr. Rivers," she replied. "The question is what you're willing to sacrifice for your career." "I'm willing to work hard during my scheduled hours and be excellent at my job," Ethan said firmly, "but I won't sacrifice my son's well-being for a company that could replace me tomorrow." One executive shifted uncomfortably. Alexis's expression remained unchanged. "That perspective is interesting, but it isn't aligned with Sterling Enterprises culture. We need team members who are all in, not watching the clock." Ethan kept his voice steady. "I complete all assigned work and exceed my targets. I just don't perform unnecessary overtime to create the appearance of dedication." Alexis paused. "Mr. Rivers, I'm going to be direct. We're letting you go, effective immediately. Security will escort you to collect your belongings, and HR will process your final paycheck." The words hit him like a physical blow. 6 months of stable employment gone, health insurance gone, security after years of struggle gone. "May I ask if there's anything I can do to change this decision?" Ethan asked quietly. "Any area where I've actually been deficient." "This isn't a negotiation," she said coldly. "The decision is final." Ethan looked around. The executives avoided his eyes. "All right," he said calmly. "I understand." Alexis raised an eyebrow. "No arguing, no threats." "I know my worth, Miss Sterling," he replied. "I'm an excellent IT professional. I'll find another job. Maybe it'll be hard for a while, but Noah and I will be okay because we have each other. That's something no amount of overtime could replace. And for what it's worth," he added softly, "I feel sorry for you." Her composure cracked. "You feel sorry for me? I'm a billionaire CEO, and you're an unemployed single father." "Really?" "Yes," Ethan said, "because you clearly believe dedication to work is the highest value. That means you've either never had someone worth making time for, or you sacrificed them for your career. Either way, that's tragic. No matter how successful you become, you'll always be alone." The room fell silent, shock registered on Alexis Sterling's face. Ethan nodded politely and left the room. He thought he had lost everything, but what happened next would shock him and the billionaire who tested him. 3 days passed. Ethan focused on job applications, his mind swirling with worry. How would he pay rent? How long would his savings last? What would he tell Noah? Yet, he reminded himself he had survived worse. He and his son would be okay that evening after picking up Noah from school and making dinner. Ethan sat his son down. Buddy, I need to tell you something. I lost my job today. Noah's eyes widened. Did you do something bad? No, sweetie, Ethan said, pulling him close. My boss wanted someone who would work more hours than I could give. I chose to be home with you, and they let me go for it. Double quotes. Noah thought for a moment, then smiled. Dad, you're the best dad ever. Even if we have to eat toast for every meal. Ethan laughed despite the stress. We won't have to eat toast for every meal, I promise. 3 days later, while deep into job applications, his phone rang. An unknown number. Mr. Rivers, this is Jennifer Wu, head of HR at Sterling Enterprises. Miss Sterling would like to meet with you tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Would that work? Ethan's heart raced. May I ask what this is regarding? She didn't specify. She just wants to meet you. Curiosity and a sliver of hope pushed him to agree. I'll be there. The next morning, Ethan returned to Sterling Enterprises. But this time, he wasn't led to the usual conference room. He was brought directly to Alexis Sterling's private office. She stood by the window, looking out over the city. When she turned, Ethan noticed a difference. She looked tired, less polished than before. Mr. Rivers, thank you for coming, she said. Please sit. Ethan did, watching her carefully. Silence stretched for a moment as Alexis studied him. I need to tell you something, she finally said. The meeting 3 days ago, it wasn't real. It was a test. Ethan blinked. A test. Yes, she continued, her voice softening. I've been running this test across several departments. I wanted to identify employees who maintain excellent performance while also maintaining boundaries, people who leave on time, who don't sacrifice their personal lives for their jobs. Then, I manufactured a scenario where they were fired specifically for those choices. Ethan's hands clenched. You played with people's lives as an experiment. Yes, Alexis admitted, looking down. And it was wrong. I know that. Now, Ethan stayed silent, processing. Alexis leaned forward. Your response was unlike anything I expected. You didn't panic. You didn't beg. You didn't compromise your principles. You accepted the situation with dignity and walked away then. You said something I haven't stopped thinking about. You said you felt sorry for me, that I'd always be alone. You were right. I see that now. Her voice cracked slightly. You showed me something I forgot, that having boundaries isn't weakness, that choosing family isn't failure. You can be excellent at your job without making it your entire existence, and you did it without cruelty or judgment. You just stated your truth with quiet certainty, and I couldn't ignore it. Ethan swallowed. I didn't do it to teach you anything. I was showing my son the values I want him to learn: integrity, honesty, courage. Those things matter more than safety or convenience. Alexis looked at him, eyes glistening. I want to offer you your job back with a raise, but not just that. I want you to become my advisor on company culture. Help me transform Sterling Enterprises into a place that values employees as whole people, not just productive units. Ethan's mind raced. He thought of Noah, of the life lessons he wanted to model for his son. Could he really take this responsibility? If I agree, he said carefully, I need conditions. No more tests. No games with people's livelihoods. And I still leave at 5, still don't work weekends. I'm a father first. I can respect that. Alexis nodded. And any changes we implement start with me. I must model the behavior I want to see in others. Ethan smiled. Then yes, I'll take the job. Over the following months, Ethan worked closely with Alexis. They implemented strict policies against after-hours emails, generous parental leave programs, and manager evaluations based on team well-being. But the biggest change, Alexis herself. She started leaving the office by 6, took weekends off, reconnected with friends, and even began dating. She confessed to Ethan one day, smiling, "It's strange. I thought the company would fall apart without me every minute, but productivity is up, turnover is down, and people are happy. And it's because they're present when they're here, not exhausted or resentful. I owe this to you." Ethan chuckled. "You didn't need me to shame you. I just spoke the truth." She paused, thoughtful. "Sometimes truth and shame feel the same, but I'm grateful for it." What happens when courage, integrity, and truth change not just one life, but an entire company? Months passed, and Sterling Enterprises began to transform under Ethan Rivers' guidance. Policies changed, but the culture shifted. Even more, employees who once felt trapped in long hours and endless expectations now experienced balance. Parental leave programs became generous. Managers were evaluated not just on productivity, but on how well they supported their teams, and after-hours emails were strictly limited. Ethan watched quietly, seeing small but powerful changes. People were happier, more engaged, more energized. They laughed at their desks again, took genuine breaks, and spent time with their families without guilt. Productivity wasn't down, it had increased. Turnover was lower. The company thrived because it had learned the simple truth: a human is more than the hours they put in at work. Alexis Sterling herself was different. No longer glued to her phone at midnight, she left the office by 6, spent weekends with friends, and reconnected with parts of her life she had neglected for years. One afternoon, while reviewing employee surveys with Ethan, she laughed. "It's strange," she admitted. "I keep expecting the company to fall apart because I'm not here every waking moment, but it's thriving. People are happier, and the numbers are better than ever." You've taught me something important. Ethan's success doesn't mean sacrifice. It means balance. Ethan smiled. "I didn't teach you. I just spoke the truth. Sometimes that's all it takes." Alexis nodded. "Truth, yes, but it takes courage to speak it. You had that courage. And because of you, this company is now a place where employees aren't afraid to live their lives, and productivity isn't at odds with humanity." Then came the moment that solidified Ethan's impact. Sterling Enterprises was recognized as one of the best companies to work for in the nation. Business magazines, organizational psychologists, and leadership forums studied them as a model. Employees shared stories of how their lives had improved, and management spoke about the new culture that valued people as human beings, not just workers. At the awards ceremony, Alexis stepped onto the stage. The audience of business leaders and journalists sat in rapt attention. 2 years ago, she began, her voice steady. "I fired a single father because he refused to prioritize work over his child. I thought I was identifying truly dedicated employees. What I didn't expect was to learn the most important lesson of my career from him. He taught me that dedication to family isn't weakness, that boundaries aren't failure, and that a person can excel at work while also being present for the people they love." His name is Ethan Rivers. The audience applauded as Ethan and Noah, sitting in the front row, rose to the stage. Alexis gestured to Ethan. "Would you join me?" Ethan walked up, slightly uncomfortable with the attention. Alexis smiled warmly. "Tell them what you told me that day." Ethan looked across the crowd. "I told Miss Sterling that no matter how successful she became, she would always be alone if she continued to believe that work was the highest value. My worth wasn't determined by sacrificing my son for a job. That day, I thought I was losing everything, but what I actually did was demonstrate the values I want my son to learn: integrity, courage, and the importance of family. And somehow, impossibly, it led to this, a company that now values people as whole beings." The audience erupted in applause. Ethan glanced at Alexis, who nodded encouragingly. "And because of your courage," she added, "I've promoted Ethan to Vice President of Employee Experience, not through long hours or performative dedication, but through genuine wisdom and the courage to speak truth when it mattered most. Later, as Ethan and Noah celebrated with ice cream, his son asked innocently, "Dad, were you scared that day when you told her the truth?" Ethan chuckled, terrified. "Buddy, I thought I was throwing away our security, our future, but I knew I had to do it anyway. Some things are more important than being safe, like honesty. Like showing you that principles matter, even when they're hard to defend." Noah hugged him tightly. "I'm glad you told her the truth. Look what happened." Ethan hugged him back. "Yeah, buddy, look what happened." From that day forward, Sterling Enterprises wasn't just a company, it was a living example that integrity, family, and courage could coexist with success. And all because one single dad had the courage to speak the truth, even when it could have cost him everything. If this story reminded you that standing by your principles can change more than you imagine, like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring tales of courage, honesty, and humanity. Comment below if you've ever had to choose integrity over convenience. Your story might inspire someone to do the same.